And again, that'll be it. If Tyler Hero ends up, becoming a more, again, had a pretty great rookie year. If you all for all.
No, of course.
As much as I made fun of the whole lip thing, and then he got destroyed by LeBron in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
He's had he's a solid shooter. He's got a lot of potential.
You still have none.
They still have none. None kind of fell off a little bit in the bubble in the playoffs.
I don't know if he got COVID or he got hurt, but he wasn't the same in the bubble.
Definitely wasn't.
He lost his starting spot again. It looks like they banished him.
And then you get the social situations. We're going to get off Olynyk and these other guys.
They got Harkless, who they brought in, who's a decent guy. Iggy's still there.
Yeah, again, but Iggy's also.
Yeah, but he was decent in the playoffs. That's fine. And then like you said, Olynyk, Duncan Robinson, Adebayo, and then they brought in the kid from Kentucky, Precious. I don't remember the last name. Nakamura or something like that.
Yes.
Another big, who I think that's going to contribute right away. He's looked really good. Miami's been one of the best drafting teams in basketball.
They'll be again. Will they make the NBA Finals? I would say no, but they'll be in the hunt to make it maybe to the conference finals. Again, I didn't think that they would beat the Bucks last year, and then they had their lunch.
Yeah.
And I didn't think they beat the Celtics afterwards, and they got through them. So again, the will of Jimmy Butler. And so forth. Again, and if Bam takes another step, they'll be a problem. And again, they're entitled. I would say they're in title contention.
Are they a better team than Boston?
I would say because of the depth and Kemba's injury and not knowing what you're going to get from that situation, I would say yes.
Is Jason Tatum still the best player on either team?
Yes.
That might be the answer to the question.
And again, and that's. But here's the thing: if it was Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown against Bam and Jimmy, I take Bam and Jimmy, because I think that while Jaylen's a very good player, I think that Bam still has another, just like Jason Tatum has another level to go to. I think Bam will end up being a problem, and I think that Jimmy's a better player than Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. Okay. That's going to be. I think those two teams are going to be fighting for third all year, with the team now we're going to get to in Brooklyn. So Brooklyn is 4. Obviously, the Bucks are going to be the top team in the East in most preseason rankings. Yes. Let's talk about Brooklyn. They're about to tip off in like 10 minutes. Obviously, Durant's back. He looks really good. Kyrie, Caris LeVert, Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, Joe Harris. A lot of guys in the top 100. Very good team. DeAndre Jordan's still there.
Harris shooting.
Yeah. This team, if they're healthy, we can't say we'd be surprised if they get to the finals with KD and Kyrie.
I would say if they're full, but again, we take this the same thing that we have to be very careful with the situation because we have what happened with the Clippers. Look, we did the same thing last year. The situation here is you have, and again, when they faced the Raptors in the playoffs, they were, they had guys that came off the street. They were so injured. You have, and here's the thing: why I don't think they'll make it in the first year. One is I don't buy that Kyrie's going to be healthy all year. It's never the case, and he always destroys locker rooms. And 2, as much as I don't want to say it, I think that Steve Nash's lack of coaching is going to be a problem.
Yeah,
I think
was it Steve Kerr? Steve Kerr was the same thing. Did he have a problem? I just think when you have that much talent.
Well, again, remember Steve Kerr again, and we're getting into it. Steve Kerr had already. He came in a situation where a lot of those core guys had been there for years under Mark Jackson. Yeah. Like Mark Jackson doesn't get enough credit, and somehow he hasn't got another job. I don't know how that ended up happening. He had that Golden State team primed to make a run. Yeah. Like he was on the cusp, and then they got rid of him for whatever reason. And then Steve Kerr kind of got Mark Jackson spoiled and then
put on the suit jacket and walked out the door.
Let's be honest, like Walton did about the same job as Steve Kerr did. When you're a stacked team, I could have coached that Golden State team.
That's what I'm saying. It's the same question for the Brooklyn Nets team. I know you're saying that it's new guys. When you have that much talent, just like remember Miami the first time how bad they started.
But here's the issue, and we saw with the Clippers. You have Kyrie. Chemistry is one thing, and then you have Kyrie and Durant, 2 guys that are at the end of the day are malcontents. And then let's be real, like Kyrie's a malcontent, and Durant has been known to be a bit of a snake in the grass. And he'll have problems with teammates and so forth. That's going to be the thing. You might call it chemistry on the court or whatever. I want to see if Kyrie doesn't destroy another team in the locker room, and if how that's going to cause them to play. They have absolutely. When you have a guy like
he didn't destroy Cleveland though when LeBron was there. Even to this day, nothing came up.
But here's the thing: he didn't destroy Cleveland because he wasn't the head dog, right? He wasn't.
So Boston.
LeBron took care of the little guy. LeBron was always the big dog in that situation. when Kyrie,
Maybe
and
which
again,
is Boston, right?
is Durant gonna hold Kyrie accountable if he's acting like a fool? They're best friends.
If it's between winning and not winning, I think he would say something.
And again, but we've seen the stage. Again, I don't know how you want to.
We don't have enough time to get into the stage incident. We don't.
So again, LeVert again off the bench. That's a great option to have.
DeAndre, I'll run through the roster. Jordan, Allen, Cruz, Jeff Green, who's looked, Jeff Green is who he is. Wilson Chandler, Shamet, who they brought in, Timothy Luwalu, Chris LeVert, Tyler Johnson, Joe Harris, Kyrie Irving, Dinwiddie, Bruce Brown, another, they have guys that can play.
And again, it's all going to be depending on the situation and health.
But even KD and those guys.
So here's the situation. So if let's say Kyrie goes down with another leg injury for
that might be a better thing for the
year. Do they make the finals with just KD and the change?
I think they do. I think they can.
I think it's a possibility. If Kyrie's not there,
if KD's KD and you have that roster, I think it's a possibility.
Even without Kyrie.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't think without. I think with some of the other teams in the East with the amount of talent.
It's the same as LeBron we talked about, man.
You have like that situation.
This is what I have it. You add KD to a team, you add LeBron to a team. Give me anybody. They don't have scrubs. They have a real team. Now that I look at their team, they might be 1 through 10, 12, one of the deepest teams in basketball.
I would say again,
and I didn't even realize that until I went through everybody.
Injury bugs and all that other stuff.
They're ready to go through injuries with this roster now, right?
And again, so I would say that again, if everything works out in their fashion, absolutely they can make the finals. I will give you a better, answer at mid-season from what I see.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think because I jumped the gun with the Clippers last year. And then the problems started happening, so I would say that they would be with the Bucks they'd be top 2.
Okay, so LA Clippers at number 3 they have them here. So you got Marcus Morris Sr. at 99, Beverly at 90, which is high for me. Ibaka 66, Paul George 20, 66. Kawhi Leonard.
I love Serge, but I don't know about that.
Kawhi Leonard 5. So Doc's gone, Harold's gone, new coach Tyronn Lue, NBA champion coach Tyronn Lue.
They still got Lemon Pepper though. They still got Lemon Pepper Lou.
Oh, still got Lou. And then they just brought in the guy from Detroit. They just signed that massive extension.
Kennard, which is
Kennard, yeah. Well, I think it's an upgrade over Shamet.
It's a lot of money.
He's a bit of a playmaker. Well, that's just the market, right? I saw, and then every signing you're saying it's a lot of money.
Again, so Tyronn Lue, and so let's look at.
I have a lot to say here.
So look at the big picture. So obviously they're obviously gonna come out motivated. They're going to come out motivated because they were embarrassed last year. The Nuggets thing was massively embarrassing. The Game 7s with even Kawhi had an atrocious Game 7. Do they have the talent? Are they better than last year? If I had to compare, you lose Harold, you pick up Ibaka. We'll call that.
That's an upgrade. I think it's a simple upgrade.
I think it's a simple upgrade.
Especially in the playoffs. It's a simple upgrade.
I would suggest that again, depending on the situation. I don't know if I would call it an upgrade. I like Harold. What Harold brings to the table. Maybe I'm a little higher on Harold. I like the dog in him.
He's a bench guy. He's not a guy you're going to play in the playoffs.
Six man of the year. Again, at the end of the day, we can go through that. Kennard's probably better than Shamet. Their biggest issue, and something that's been talked about. They don't have a legitimate point guard. They don't. Lou's not that guy, and Patrick Beverly's not that guy. And until they get that taken care of, they're going to have a lot of the same problems. Now they're going to run a triangle offense.
Is that what they said they're doing?
Yeah, with Tyronn. Tyronn Lue's going to do triangle offense around Kawhi. We'll see what happens. They have the talent. They didn't lose. They lost maybe some big players. I think they could have used Rondo, and that was a lot of situations. They could speculation they could have used Rondo.
Well, really, we could have used him. Yeah.
But it's all going to be the same situation. Or now, you got one malcontent. They're talking about getting rid of Lemon Pepper. Lou, shout out to his fun time Magic
City.
Magic City, shout out to Magic City with those wings. Haven't visited. I may go there at some point in my future life.
PG-13.
PG-13. I'm talking about PG-13.
Oh man, keep it PG-13. We can talk about his wedding if you want to.
Way off P, as he was being called after that game.
Way off P. To the 3-pointer and then
that's
the hang.
And so he blamed a lot of that on Doc. He's going to use Ray Allen, and again, it's that situation where
players play is what I gotta say.
And here's the situation. Again, we look at the Kawhi Raptors and then the situation there. Kawhi came into a Raptors locker room that was together. He added the piece. He didn't rock the boat. But again, you hear the rumors. He wants to live in San Diego, misses practices, all this other stuff. So he's got that little star thing. You couple that with Paul George and Paul George's antics. And I don't know, like, do you have them? What's your take? Do you have them making the Western Conference Final this year?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you do. So you think they're better off than they were last year, based off of maybe just the Ibaka move?
I don't know where to start with this team, but
that's usually not a good sign.
it's not. But in this case, it is. I don't like the Marcus Morris signing. I feel like he's just a bigger Lou Williams and probably not as good of a Lou Williams. I think he's a locker room problem. I didn't like the thing with Dallas last year. Remember when he went after Luka? Like, there's a lot. If you want to talk about locker room stuff, like that's one guy I don't want on my team.
And we can make the argument if Porzingis doesn't get injured,
they beat the Clippers.
They probably beat the Clippers. Yeah.
Now I don't have enough time. I'll just say it in a sentence. They didn't like each other last year. The team did not like each other. Now, who do you want to point fingers at? I don't know. Kawhi and the Paul George thing. Roll out the red carpet for them. Let's do all this stuff. Harrell's gone. He was upset about it. If you got to pick between Harrell and Kawhi or PG, like those are all easy calls. Get out of here, right? Now, if this team's going to go anywhere, they have written down here, where is it? It said that Kawhi Leonard was like questioning the team's playoff or basketball IQ. Now, you leave, like you said, you leave Toronto. We don't want to talk too much about this either. He had the perfect situation in Toronto. Perfect role players, great coach, great defense, all that stuff. He left that. He thought he was going to greener pastures. Go home, go see the family, cry me a river. It didn't work last year, okay? Now, what I'm hearing a lot of, and this is consensus, everybody thinks the Lakers got better on paper, which they probably did. And everybody's now asking this question is, who's the biggest threat to the Lakers? This is the biggest gap we've seen in a finals contender to the next team since like when Golden State had KD.
Interesting.
I'm not sold on that.
I wouldn't think it's that big of a gap, no.
Because last year, before the bubble happened, it was the complete opposite, man. Even you as a Lakers or a LeBron guy, Lamar, me, everybody's like Clippers, Clippers, Clippers. Because it was the right and the logical choice.
Now you on that edition that we did outside, were like, you thought they were
because
gonna
I
bust.
saw the tables turning with the team.
Yeah.
I saw things I didn't like, right?
That's
Now I'm looking at the Lakers and I'm saying, first of all, we know that LeBron's gonna not play as many minutes, AD's not, and that's fine. Regular season doesn't matter.
Sure.
I'm looking at the playoffs and I'm like, they have a different coach, Tyronn Lue. I never loved Doc Rivers as coach. I think he's pretty decent. Change of scenery and the players and the coaches are bringing in some new guys. I think that Ibaka is going to help them immensely, especially in the playoffs. Okay. He's better than Gasol if you want to go at who has like a better front court there. Anthony Davis is better, sure, but at least Ibaka can guard the guy.
Okay.
Paul George, I think, can't be any worse. He's going to be a little bit happier. Kawhi Leonard is going to be better, more motivated. Kennard's going to help them if he's healthy. I'm going to get ahead of myself here and say that this team, at least in the West, is going to get to the NBA Finals. Now, what happens there? Maybe they run into Milwaukee and the Lakers. Those are the two biggest threats as I see here. I think that the Clippers this year are going to say, hey, no more BS. The bubble's gone. Grown man's game, all that kind of stuff. Man up, next man up. This is now like, this is for Kawhi's legacy, I think, too. If Kawhi does not, at least get to a West Final here, there's going to be questions about him.
But like, again, they have that same problem where they don't have a legitimate primary ball handler in terms of a legitimate point guard. That's what they're missing. I think until they do that and get that resolved.
I know that Kawhi doesn't want. There was reports he didn't want to be the ball handler. He's happy with Fred or Kyle handling the ball. That's fine. Luke Kennard can handle the ball. Patrick Beverley can handle the ball. They're not there to set up. You know what I mean? They have too much talent. Like even when LeBron won championships, he was winning championships with Muriel Chalmers as his point guard. Now you can say LeBron's a point guard. Yeah. He's not. He's a ball handler. Kawhi and Paul George can handle the ball. You can nitpick and Paul George can say, "Oh, I don't want to be in too many pick and rolls," or he wanted more pick and rolls. Too many catch and shoot Ray Allen pin down threes. Like at what point do you say, "Hey, whatever you're doing is not working"? Now you have a new coach. You're going to have to listen to Tyronn Lue coming in with the championship ring. He knows LeBron very well. It's time to put up or shut up for the Clippers, and I think that this is.
So if they bust again this year, is that done? Is that little partnership done?
Which partnership?
The Kawhi and Paul George.
They're going nowhere. Paul George just re-signed on a max.
And then
Kawhi's not leaving home because he wants to be close to his.
So you would continue through that. Yeah. Interesting. All right, fair enough. So you have them going to the NBA Finals this year.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Milwaukee Bucks. You want to jump any last thoughts?
I'm gonna reverse on that. On the Clippers?
Yeah, quick on
the Clippers at the end of the day until they get into that point guard situation, until I see some. And again, Kennard.
They didn't have a point guard last year. Nobody asked these questions though.
But
that's what I'm saying,
right? It showed the wrinkles. And again, like the Dow situation, robbed in the first game with that bogus referee call, and then Porzingis.
But that's also the bubble thing. They weren't happy in the bubble. They didn't look. They didn't look good the whole bubble.
But and again, and you have that situation where you have you mentioned Morris who wasn't even there in terms of the malcontent. He adds into that. I think Lou Williams is another guy like Harold that has a problem with what's going on with the other two. Until I see some camaraderie on the team chemistry kind of thing. I don't know. I think Kawhi's going to be, I agree with you, I think Kawhi's going to be massively motivated in terms of proving that it was an aberration of that. Because again, his legacy took a huge hit last year. And let's be honest here. It took a huge hit because of what happened in that Game 7. Because of how bad they were in that game. Because no one thought.
The team was terrible.
3-1. You don't see that from a stacked team. Again, you saw with the Warriors that one year where, again, Draymond got suspended. Yeah. But again, that was also against LeBron James. Yeah. It wasn't against Jamal Murray and Jokic, who are good players, but they're not at the top of the food chain type of players. So that's a different story. So again,
Jokic is probably gonna be a Hall of Famer if he's healthy. But anyways,
sure. So is Chris Bosh and a lot of the guys. You wouldn't put Jokic on.
Heart attack. Chris Bosh, Hall of Famer, Zane Shaw, shout out to you.
Well, again, a lot of people believe that, right? We have that conversation. Yeah. But anyway, Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
Upgrade getting Holiday over Bledsoe. Yeah. That's a big upgrade there. Again, I don't know what the heck happened with that Bogdanovich situation. We've already gone into that.
Lost the second round pick out of
Giannis re-signing is going to put a lot of people's nerves at ease. And we'll get that distraction, which it would have been a huge distraction all year. Overall, like they're a better team based off of that.
Yeah.
Considering what happened, and again, Holiday, injury wise and so forth, they'll be a team that's going to cause some problems. I still like Lopez. I think the DiVincenzo kid will end up being a better player this year. Even though they tried to trade him last year in the whole Bogdanovich situation.
I think they tried to trade him. That's what they were at. Yeah,
I hear you had traded him. I think they got second round pick. They got taken away from that.
Yeah, for this upcoming season.
Again, they'll be a team that will dominate the regular season again.
As usual,
Chris Middleton and so forth. Is Holiday that extra piece that they needed to get through? We shall see. I think that again, he's an upgrade over Bledsoe, who was one of their weak spots.
Great defender, Holiday's still a good defender, still good shooter.
They'll be a better team, but again, they've been the Raptors knocked them out. The Heat basically it was the Heat, right? Yeah.
He knocked out the Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, he knocked out the Bucks. So they're in a problematic state. Will Holiday take them to the next level? It really depends. I would say that if everyone's healthy and let's say the Nets situation pans out the way it's supposed to, I would say that the Nets would probably beat them, and they'd probably meet in the Eastern Conference Final.
Giannis going against KD would be pretty good TV.
But again, it all depends on how the Nets go. And again, but that would be the situation. So I would say the Bucks will probably get back to the Eastern Conference Final. But if everything works out the way it's supposed to in Brooklyn, I'm going to say that the Nets will probably make the finals. But I have my reservations, and I want to make that a stagnant point.
So who are you picking them to get to the final? Just if you had to pick a team to get to the East Finals.
I'm gonna give the Nets the benefit of the doubt. You know what? No, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna say that the Bucks will actually make it this year.
I think the Bucks have to.
The Bucks will do it.
One of these few seasons.
I would say that there's too many questions mark with Brooklyn right now. That the Bucks will do it. It'll be the KD against Giannis situation, but that the Bucks will, with their cohesion and having that core together longer, they'll make it to the finals.
You know what? This is one of those things where it's really tough because teams, and this goes we see it in football a lot. We talked about this about quarterbacks and stuff. You only have such a window, and only so many teams can win a championship, and so many teams are championship or bust that after a while, there's this kind of. They talk about this with Giannis, where it's like he's the underdog. He got drafted 15th or 16th overall. Then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this kid can play. Becomes defensive player of the year, MVP 2 times, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, that's all great, but are you gonna win? And that's almost he hasn't made it to a finals yet. First it's the Kawhi, Kawhi knocks them out when they're up 3-1 or whatever, right?
They were 2-0 and they lost 4 straight.
Yeah, right. And then last year with the Miami taking them out, a Cinderella team. Now you're shuffling the deck and all this stuff happening. It's like, dude, how much you're in your prime now? You're 26.
And they lost. I forgot they lost Wes Matthews, which might be. again, not a big thing, but again, a guy that.
But I think we can all agree they're not as deep, but they're a better team than they were last year.
Sure, because of the holidays.
Because even with Bledsoe's another one of those guys similar to, let's use Harrell or Pascal or guys like that, where it's like regular season you have no questions about them. Same as Bledsoe, he'll get you 18 and 7. Playoffs comes, it's like, can you do something for me?
He can also shoot you out of a game.
He can't shoot at all, which is a common denominator in all those guys too, right? But Drew Holiday, I love Drew. He's been one of those guys where he's so underrated that it's almost like, okay, how good is he? And he's hurt almost all the time too. He's been another like common theme in a lot of these guys. Can you stay healthy?
And that's going to be the thing. It's the health situation that these guys are going to put themselves through. That's going to be the thing.
Lakers, last team standing, number 1.
And now we get to the Lakers.
Your guy.
And again, I made the mistake last year of betting against LeBron James.
Or against your own guy.
Because at the end of the day, like I said, you go into the situation where, again, the Lakers team was, they brought Anthony Davis. LeBron had been hurt. They didn't make the playoffs. I thought that, again, even though Anthony Davis and LeBron, that the Clippers would be a legitimate problem. I was obviously proven wrong there. I am not making the same mistake this year. I believe that the biggest thing is that LeBron's in season, whatever the heck it might be. 18 again. And he'll be on limit minutes in terms of, they'll probably do that whole
rest them and
so forth. I think that Anthony Davis is going to take another step this year in terms of becoming even a more dominant player. And overall, I do think they got better. Rondo is going to be a loss for sure. I like the addition of Schroeder. Gives him a younger ball handler that can. I think he's a better shooter than Rondo. And again, 6 man against contender for 6 man. I'm a big Harrell guy. Harrell's, and again, if you want to say, is it going to be Harrell or Dwight Howard or
you're losing McGee and Howard, by the way, 2 centers
who barely played a lot of the time during the playoffs.
Just the last year.
And again, McGee, I don't think even the Rockets series or the other series barely played. And again, Gasol, I'm not going to even go on that addition. I do like the Wes Matthews addition. I think they're losing Avery Bradley is going to sting a little bit. I like Harrell. I think Harrell's the type of guy that, in terms of rebounds and even some secondary scoring, he does his job. You can play small with him. He's just a hustle guy, a guy that's going to be a dog. And I think that they need that on that team.
Kuzma's back, re-signed.
I'm not a big Kuzma guy. I would have rather have seen Kuzma traded, to be honest. I'm kind of glad they got rid of Danny Green because I thought Danny Green at times last year was a black hole on offense whatsoever. I always made fun of him, and I still will, and I've gone on other podcasts and stated the same. Alex Cruz looks like a guy that you'd see at LA Fitness, going in and having some good games. But the son of a gun can really get it done. I don't know. Again, he's got a lot of heart. He plays his butt off. And the young guy, the Horton kid, who's
Taylor Horton Tucker. I want to talk about how many minutes you think he's going to get.
He's every game, guy that at the end of the day, that I've seen the preseason. He's pretty damn good.
How good is he? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you think his best case scenario is for this season?
Again, on this loaded Lakers team, he's gonna have.
He's a bench guy.
He's a bench guy.
Yeah.
But he's a definite guy that I can definitely see that if Kuzma doesn't get his act together, that he'll take Kuzma's lunch.
So I'll go through. I'll just go through with you who they started with their last game against Phoenix, which was the starter. So you got AD, LeBron, KCP, Kuzma, and Gasol, which is pretty much their starting lineup, right? Now you can swap Kuzma. Now Schroeder didn't play the game, so swap Schroeder for Kuzma. That's fine. So first guy off the bench. Taylor Horton Tucker, Montrezl Harrell, Wes Matthews, Caruso, Marcus Morris. That's their rotation.
Yeah, so I think that based off of what I see, I think again having to go through that, the young kid's gonna have to earn a lot of those minutes because again he's gonna have to
play the most minutes off the bench.
Yeah,
23 minutes
because he's earned it. Like you never would have, and nobody would have really said that like 3 weeks ago that he'd be the guy he'd be the first guy off the bench. He's improved so much, and LeBron was, and again LeBron's the type of guy that usually
praises players
that he legitimately thinks the kid's going to be a top end talent.
A top end talent. Can you quote what does that mean?
Well, again, a top end talent means the kid's going to be a player. Like I think
like a rotation guy.
I'm not going to say he's going to be an all-star level.
Like an OG
but he
kind
could be
of player.
He could be a starter on a good team.
Wow,
which is pretty good at the end of the day. And from what I've seen, again. Preseason, you never know how much
he's 20 years old. I thought he was a few years older.
The 20-year-old kid. I think they got him
2019 draft by a second round Magic.
Pick. Yeah. He looked for a second round pick. He looks very, very good.
Yeah.
And again, what are you getting? Morris last year. I don't know how much.
Yeah,
you're getting
I play him over
of
Morris for sure. Yeah.
And things along that nature. I don't know about starting Gasol at center. I'm not really sold.
Well, I think that's one of those things, same as Dwight or McGee, where you start them and then 5 minutes in you're subbing them off, right?
And that's why I think they would have to go in terms of getting, again, Harold's going to get a lot of those minutes probably. He's undersized there, but you can always play AD more at the center role in that situation there. Again, I have them winning another one based on the fact that I think
DJ Khaled another one.
I think that again, I think AD is going to be even better. I think AD's now got a taste of winning. He was a monster in a lot of the situations last year, and I don't know. I think LeBron's thirsty for one more, and then I do think that this will be it. I'm honest with this.
LeBron's last year.
This is the last. No, not his last year, but
last year being
the last year. I would say that they with LeBron being that second thing, because I mean we all, and we were talking about over Tom Brady over the break and stuff like that. Yeah, after a while, once you hit that 37, 38-year-old, even Michael, when he came back, was in a rough spot. Yeah, at the end of the day, it'll probably be his last real window. Maybe next year, but I don't know. I guess unless he just does the father time thing goes, he'll end up beating Kareem's record for points, which would be phenomenal. But this will be his last real.
Will it be phenomenal?
Oh, absolutely phenomenal for a past first player. Absolutely. Again, that's what he's more of a Magic Johnson than he ever was a Michael Jordan in terms of scoring.
It's a shame we can't get Lamar on.
Well, but again, I think it was our friend Woods that had that simple quote that men lie, women lie, and facts don't. At the end of the day,
numbers don't,
or facts are numbers. And he should say that to the special correspondent. Again, I have the tape to prove it. And that's just the reality of things. You can go on all about LeBron this, LeBron that. The facts are going to state that at the end of the day, if he remains healthy, knock on wood, he's going to beat that Kareem record, which is phenomenal. Yep. And again, you can't take away the accomplishment from someone that does that, and so forth. So, again, if he wins a 5, it's not going to turn the conversation over to anything else, and we can go on about an hour about all that. But again, this will be the last one. I have the Lakers. I'm going to say the Lakers-Bucks final will be what I predict in terms of that.
So pretty much the 1 versus 1 what they've been last year.
Yeah, I would say that. But again, I'm more worried in terms of the Bucks situation because of the Nets than I am about the Lakers. Because again, unless the Clippers make some big time maneuvers, I think at certain spots they're going to be in a little bit more trouble.
Okay. And if you were to play with that series, then the Lakers. And
I'm hoping for a Lakers Clippers Western Final. I think everybody wants to see that. Yeah. I wanted to see that last year. I thought we.
And you think if they play each other, the Lakers win, obviously, right? Like
I think it would go a 7-game series, and. But again, it's just that so we look at Paul George in the playoffs has had his issues. Who would be going into the proven situation? Kawhi's been a playoff.
Paul George was good with Indiana. Since he left Indiana, he hasn't been the same.
He got when he had down by Lillard, he got hit in the backboard. And again, can you trust him in the situation? And that's the thing. I can trust. We know we can trust LeBron, and now we kind of know that you can sort of trust what AD is going to bring to the table.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's more of a depth thing. Those two guys for sure you're taking, right? But then, like I said, I don't want to sleep on Ibaka, although he's a 3rd or 4th guy. Like I think that really because the Lakers their biggest strength was size. They had so many bigs, right? AD, Dwight, McGee. Who's their backups? I was just looking at their roster. I don't know if they have a backup center.
Well, I mean, I guess the backup.
They don't. It's Giannis's brother. Like honestly,
I guess you play. I mean, you can play. You can play Harold at the center.
He's 6'9", but yeah, like that's what I mean. They don't have any guys over that height.
But it's also one of those things that if something's not working at the Lakers, just like any LeBron team, how you
manage.
They always end up getting some guys at the trade deadline, or people will get, and they'll bring up.
Sorry, Gasol. I'm forgetting about.
And then and again, like I said, Gasol's pretty much. I thought that signing wasn't really. It is what I thought.
Might have been a locker room signing, like an insurance against Jokic.
And again, I don't know the situation because I think Gasol is very limited and maybe Gasol will have a revamped year. I don't know, but I haven't seen anything. Last year he was horrendous offensively. I was shutting on the TV watching Raptors games. Defensively, he's just lackadaisical in his movement.
He's definitely better on defense than he is on offense. Yeah.
But I'm almost better on offense the way that he's going these days. That's just the truth of the matter. And shout out to Mark. He did his thing a couple of years ago. He got old. It is what it is. It happens.
Okay. So we'll leave it at that. You have Lakers winning. I'm going to take the Clippers winning.
The finals.
Finals.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll save all that. Do you want to do it quickly? Okay.
Okay.
I'll do it on the fly. So MVP.
MVP. I'm going to go with Doncic. Most improved player, I'm gonna go with OG. I might be a homer pick, but that's what I'm going with. Rookie of the year, I'm gonna go Anthony Edwards, though I'm a little skeptical, but I'm gonna go there.
Okay.
Sixth man, I'm gonna say it's gonna be Lemon Pepper. He's gonna get his crown back. Defensive player of the year, I'm gonna go with 80 this time around.
MVP, I have Luka.
Luka.
I think that I think that's I bet on it. I think that's almost a clear thing. But then again, I just thought about it right now. KD, if healthy, and then Brooklyn sneaks up, that's another. You know what?
Sure. Could be.
I'm going to switch it up, even though I was sold on Luka. Give me KD. Betting on him staying healthy, but KD. Sorry. Yes, KD. Sixth man of the year, I'll jump to real quick, being Homer. I think Norm can get the sixth man of the year this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think that theme of this podcast, staying healthy, because he's been a guy that's been injured. I think he has his role on the bench. Okay. He showed his role on the bench. He's been pretty good. Norm's my sixth man of the year. I'm going to agree with you that Anthony Davis, defensive player of the year. Okay. Rookie of the year, also going to agree with you because I like Anthony Edwards. Mm-hmm. If they give him that second unit, I think he can do that. Most improved.
You want to say OG now?
No, I don't want to say OG. I hope OG's an all-star. Same thing with Pascal.
Can you imagine if it was your boy Boucher that ended up having a crazy year? Can you imagine that? Oh man, that would be something. So, but who's he gonna be?
Just looking at guys that are even options.
Well, Michael Porter Jr. would be the one.
No, I think he's too. He last year he was a rookie. Usually has to at least be a third-year guy. Guys in the conversation, OG, Ayton. Ayton playing with Chris Paul, like I said, his numbers are going to go up. But I'm going to go with Shea. I don't know how much higher his ceiling can get. I don't think, I think for him, if he can average, I think 27 and 6 is, pretty realistic for him being by himself, really, there. Scoring 20 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 rebounds.
Again, he is the focal point of the offense. He will have his opportunities.
He's talented enough to do it. Like I said, I don't think he's a top guy on a title team or anything like that. But I like Shea. I didn't like him going into the draft. I just thought because he couldn't shoot back then, that was going to be a bit of a problem. But, when he's open, he's hit the three. I'll go with Shea for that. And then lastly, Coach of the Year.
Oh, I forgot about Coach of the Year.
Yeah, Coach of the Year. 2 guys I'm thinking of. I won't even make a pick. We can kind of,
Well, you know what? If he ends up doing what he's supposed to, it'll probably be Steve Nash. If he ends up doing what he's supposed to.
Yep. So guys, I would say in conversation,
Nash,
Stan Van Gundy in New Orleans, if they have to at least get in the playoffs. And then Monty Williams in Phoenix, I think, are probably your lead guys.
No, you're not going to think that Nick Nurse is going to defend the crown,
Well, with the I think the Raptors need to finish second,
I think
at least for him to do that.
I think last year, he got given a lot of credit because they weren't predicted to do all that well, and he did ended up I think being better than the regular season record last year. So that makes sense.
Okay, that's done. What we'll do is, since we won't get together happy holidays, everybody. Christmas Day game. Let's do this because even though it's in a few days, I'll just read them off to you.
All right.
First game, so Pelicans at the Heat.
I always get these magnificently wrong every year, so I want to go against. So Pelicans at the Heat.
Pelicans at Heat. There's no fans anywhere, but Pelicans at Heat.
I'm gonna go with Miami.
Okay. I'll take the Pelicans.
Yeah, you usually clean up on these games. So
I don't love this pick because I think that Miami's really deep. It's their first game. I think New Orleans is going to get better as the season goes on. But I'll take the Pelicans. Like I said, I think that Lonzo is really going to have a fire under his butt this year, especially fighting for that contract. Zion there, I think he's going to be a beast for anybody inside. I really want to see Zion go against Bam on the inside. Height advantage, but the strength, that's going to be a good matchup. So I'll take Pels. You got Miami. Second game, Golden State going to the Bucks.
The Bucks at home are usually almost unbeatable, so I'm going to go with the Bucks.
I'm going to agree with you there. Milwaukee. Third game, 5 o'clock. I'll tell you the spreads after because I don't want to do too much. Brooklyn at Boston, 5 o'clock game.
Brooklyn at Boston.
Pretty evenly matchup there.
I'm gonna take the Celtics to win that game.
Okay.
It had it been in Brooklyn, I might have taken it.
But
I
getting
know,
into
but
that, no fans, you still think it's a
the
big
Guardian,
deal?
the Guardian situation. I think it's a deal. I also think that again with again, I think that those Boston guys come out hyped to play Kyrie because they still have some bitter feelings. So yeah, I'm gonna go Celtics.
I'm gonna take Brooklyn. Dallas at Lakers. That's gonna be a good game, 8:00.
The Lakers.
Okay. Just trying to think of Dallas, like who they have coming. But I think
Porzingis is still injured, right? Or maybe he's back.
I want to say he is still hurt. I'll go Lakers too. I just think you need Porzingis back to win that game. I think, and Richardson's coming in, Curry's gone. I think they need some time. I think they win the first game. Last game, really good one, 3-1. Clippers at Nuggets. I'll be watching that one on Christmas night.
The Clippers will win that game.
Really? Okay, so spread there is -1 Clippers, which is pretty even.
I'm gonna again. Denver's a hard place to play because of also the mile high situation.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that the Clippers will come out really. They were embarrassed and they got like slagged all over social media. They're gonna come out real hard for that game. So I'm gonna take the Clippers to win that game.
Okay, so you got Miami, Milwaukee, Boston, Lakers, Clippers. I have Pelicans, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Lakers, Clippers.
So it's
I think
basically
I'm gonna do, even though we just
two
made our
games.
predictions, I think we're both gonna go 4 and 5. I think that Miami's gonna win, which will help you, and I think
Four.
Brooklyn's gonna beat Boston. I think the other games that we agree on, Lakers, Clippers both win, I think, and then I think Milwaukee will.
4 out of 5. You think?
I think we'll both go 4 out of 5.
Again, I usually have really bad luck with the Christmas game, so
I think both.
if I go 4 out of 5, it'd be definitely the first time in years that I usually get about 2 out of 5 or maybe 1 out of 5. So I usually Christmas Day games don't go the way they're supposed to. So if that's the case, I'll take that as a W.
That does it for the season preview. We'll see you guys in the new year. Happy New Year, happy holidays, be safe, and go Raps. Let's go. Enjoy the season, guys. Take care.
Oh shit, there is something there. God damn.
1 hour.